Imagine doing, let's say something along the lines of 5 sets of leg extensions. Okay, let's say you do 5 sets of up to 15 reps. Traditional bodybuilding training, you go 15 reps. Set number 1, you go 1 through 14. Rep 1 through 14, you're not getting to the point where you're actually stimulating your muscle. Rep number 15 is the stimulus. That's the stimulus that's going to help you grow. All right. Then you go on to set number 2 and you do the exact same thing. The precursor to that stimulus rep is 1 through 14. And then you repeat that 3 more times. So you've got 56 of those reps are just precursors to growth. 4 are the growth reps. That's it. Now imagine doing one set till failure. Okay. And then what we think is failure is not failure because you can always squeeze out another one. And then you say, I got to tough it out. And you know how excruciating this is, but you try one more rep. Now you're at 3 above and beyond your stimulus. And then what happens is you get somebody to help you with one more rep. It's a forced rep. And then they push the weight down in the eccentric part of the movement. And then you try that again with a spotter. And then you count to 5, do a rest pause training, and you squeeze out 2 more reps. Think about it. You've done one set. That's all you've done. You've done one set, but it's this crazy set where you've got almost exponentially, you've got these reps after that rep to failure. You've got these exponential reps that are really doing some damage to the muscle. That to me is far superior and far more efficient than doing your 5 sets of leg extensions. That's bullshit. It doesn't work. I tell these people all the time, the precursor to growth is not the stimulus of training. It's training, it's nutrition, it's sleep in a big way, it's minimizing stress, it's hydration. Those 5 things. Any weak link in that chain, you could do everything right. Your protein, your calories are on, you're in a calorie surplus even. You're training really hard in the gym. You're pretty stress-free, but you've only slept 2 hours, or you've only slept an average of 4 hours every night. You're not making any progress. I promise you, that's the weak link. You're only as strong as the weak link in the chain. Now, you can sleep really well. You can train really well. Everything's right, but you're in a 700 calorie deficit. Guess what? That's the weak link. You're not growing. So the bottom line is when people talk about training and hypertrophy, everything along that chain has to be strong. One thing's missing and you're not succeeding. It could be water intake. You could have low water intake. You're going to have dehydration. You're going to have joint ache, and then your injuries are going to take over. That's your weak link. We talk about what people want to know my training, but really I just take it beyond failure and I let my body relax and recuperate and then super compensate with the proper nutrition, stress-free, getting vitamin D from the Costa Rican sun. That's it. Right. Let's not make this more complex than it really is. You try my set and you're going to say like, this is, I can't do this. This is miserable. And I'll scream at you and say, come on, you can do better. You can do better. No. And they're going to back out. They're going to cop out because most people don't do that intensity. It's the same with hamstrings. It's almost the exact same model. I asked my wife, I said, can you do me a favor? Can you step on my hamstrings just for a little bit, knead them out because I can't even walk. They're screaming with pain. Do people get to that level? No, I do. To the point that I got to beg my wife to step on my hamstrings to recover.
For someone out there who wants to get better at being able to push themselves, like how you're describing, they want to do this, what you're talking about here. They want to try it out. What do you have to say on the matter?
Okay. So number 1 is pushing it till failure and beyond. You got to buy into the concept that that's effective training. And you got to buy into the fact that that's the way to do it. There's a lot of people who talk about reps in reserve and you can still get some benefits. Okay, sure. I understand that. But you got to buy into the fact that that extra rep or 2 above and beyond failure is really going to be the payday. That's number 1. Number 2 is when it does start getting really painful and you want to take that pause, especially for something like a leg extension or even a bench press where you're locked out and you're like, I just need to breathe a little bit before I do that other rep, which is a mistake because you're just prolonging the inevitable. You have to buy into the fact that you got to take your body there. I know that when I have that pain, and it's a good pain, it's not like an acute injury pain. When I get that pain or I get that point where my arms are shaking and I can't do anymore, there's going to be a major payday from that. And I have to buy into that. If you don't buy into that, you're not going to do it. And then it just comes down to mental toughness. Some people just don't have it. And that's why guys like yourself, myself, Philip Ricardo, Kiyoshi Moody, and all those guys are who they are because they're that small selected few who have the guts to go above and beyond and be consistent with their training and push above and beyond to get the proper effect. So it's not for everybody. You got to believe that it's for you and that you're willing to push through that. Now, there's certain exercises. You said it best. You said you did more than one set for dumbbell presses, I think.
Right.
I'll do a dumbbell press and it's kind of like, I just don't feel like I went to failure for safety reasons. It starts getting shaky, right? Like I'm going to mess up my body if I go till failure. That's why you tend to do a second. When you do one set, you're like, I'll do a set today. I've got side laterals till failure and then beyond. For me, a side lateral movement, I can go until failure and then I can go beyond. That's one of those exercises that is conducive to going till failure and beyond. So I'll do a very, very controlled set, just like this, seated. And then what I'll try to do is I'll pump out a few more partials. And then what I do is I stand up. And you know, when you're standing up, you can kind of kick up and get some momentum. I bring it up and then I bring it down super slow. The set's already done. The set was already done like 45 seconds ago, but then I do the partials, then I stand up and I do some more. Even with that said, Kenny, I'll finish the set and I'll say, did I do enough? Is more better? Is more better? And that's the thing you play around with in your mind is, what if I do another one? Maybe just nail it even further. Here's my philosophy. You nail the nail into the wood with one good shot. It's already done. There's no point in pounding it even more. The set's done. That's only when you select exercises like that. So my second set will be something like a chin-up. It's a pull-up. I'll put some weight on my body. At this point right now, I put 45 pounds on my body. I've got this grip just because it aids with jiu-jitsu. This one hurts my wrist a lot. It's very, very slow. It's very controlled. I've activated the lats before the set even starts, like squeezing, and then it's very controlled. There's no momentum. The weight carrying me down keeps my posture proper, and I squeeze at the top super hard. I bring it into, the eccentric part is very slow, and I'm squeezing my lats throughout, go all the way down. Like there's a full lockout in my arm before I do another rep. That's set number 2. Now, I go till failure. And then what I do is I take the chain off. I take the weight off. It's 55 pounds. I get, 10, 11, 12 reps, depending on my progression. And then I add some weight. I add another 5, 10 pounds. But having said that, I'll drop the weight. I'll squeeze some more reps in. And these are like highly concentrated. I'll get to the top and just like squeeze the lats super hard. And that's kind of my second set. You take a look at all the studies, and the studies are actually inconclusive. And some of the most notable names in the research, how I feel about this. The one person who is training with another guy says, well, that's my failure. It's like, well, that's your failure, but that's not my failure. If I had all the test studies do my source of failure, which is 3 or 4 reps more than what your definition of failure was, I think the studies would show something completely different. So having said that, who's to say that isometric contractions are not superior to concentric movements? Eccentric movements may be a lot better than concentric movements. We just don't have enough science out there to say conclusively, this is the proper way of training. And then you look at efficiency of movement, technique, like a person who arches their back for the bench press is going to lift more. I think it's still very inconclusive. It's not so cut dry.
Sometimes I will look at things because it's fascinating to me. And then you're like, maybe I should try to take that back to the lab. And then it ends up being a fail because it really just doesn't apply to me and where I'm at in my training age with the amount of intensity that I can generate within a given set. Like even just one extra set was too much for me. Like, can you imagine just one extra set? Per exercise, instead of 2 sets or 1 set with maybe a few rest pauses, depending on the exercise like we spoke about, that was too much. Like I can't recover from that when I compare it to the next workout and the workout after that. You run an experiment for maybe a month or so and you're seeing the numbers are going down, not up. So what's the only thing, what's the only thing that changed here? Well, that, like, if I'm looking at it logically, right? So that's interesting.
Right.
That's
But again, you look at it across the board, nutrition, sleep, if all things are constant so I started when I was 16, I'm almost 53. I guess that's, I don't know, it's like maybe 35 years. I don't know how many, 36, I don't know what it is. It's 3.5 decades. I know this, and this is for the new listener, new viewer watching this. I've had 36 years of playing around with everything, all the different workouts. Having said that, for somebody to approach their training and say, never mind the studies, like, okay, draw from the studies and apply some basic basic principles to yourself. Allow yourself 6 months because you've got decades to go. Allow yourself 6 months. Don't be in such a rush to not try things and test them. Give yourself 6 months to try something out. And after 3 months, if it's not working, then you need to change gears. But if it's working and then slowing down, make those small adjustments, but give it 6 months. You've got all the time in the world. Don't feel rushed to make the gains. And if it's not working, I'm going to back off. So somebody like you, you're your own, like you go to the lab and you try something. Hey, this isn't working. Like I got some concrete quantitative evidence that this is not working, regardless of the studies or regardless of what Tom says, this doesn't work. I got to try something different, right? You're your own lab. Trust yourself, trust your own abilities, as long as the general principles are there and all the links in the chain are adequate.
That's a great reminder, actually, and helpful for someone who's maybe never even heard of this before. They're just constantly looking up stuff, right? And it's like, put it into practice, see where you're at relative to what's being said. And maybe it does apply and maybe it doesn't. And also, if what you're doing right now is you're on a roll, like you mentioned, you're progressing very well. Don't be so quick to experiment. Just let's sit with that. Stop jumping around, right? Because I've made that mistake too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, and then you get this too. You get a lot of this. You get, Tom, you're kind of small, so I'm not going to listen to Jay Cutler and I'm going to listen to you. Okay. Come on, bro. Do you want me to shoot up with growth hormone and all that? Like I'd be 230 pounds if I did that shit. If I took testosterone alone, I'd be 10 to 12 pounds bigger, which would bring me to evening weight 188. I'd be 200 pounds.
For natural bodybuilding, competing at what you did, like at the world championship level, that is the top 1% of what's been done, essentially, as far as, and I say 1%, you know what, I'm generalizing here a little bit, but a rough ballpark, it's the elite, we'll say, right?
Right.
And you look at someone like Frank Zane, who was on PEDs back in the, I want to say 70s, right?
Yep.
He was competing in the 180s / 190s at the most. And one time he hit 200, he said this did not look good on my physique. So what do we now someone who never even sees you and they just you're talking about numbers now as far as your weight is concerned. You can't judge based on that. Someone can look incredible and be even lighter than you. They have the perfect proportions, perfect symmetry, and they look incredible. And they might even be in the 170s. And I've seen it.
I got to tell you, Kenny, I'm now doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's 4 times a week. I'm loving it. I'm getting better just because I'm going all the time. It's tough on the body. It's tough on bodybuilding. So I've abbreviated my training down to 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You're talking about 3 to 4 sets per workout.
Per workout.
And I know we're going to want to talk about this, 3 to 4 sets per workout. And